Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Okay, let's start with our fifth week. Fifth week is about our planning. Now, what's the concept of planning? As we have discussed in the class as well, up to some extent, हमने इसके overall concept को discuss किया. But in briefly, again, we have to see what are the different concepts when we are talking about planning. हमने first chapter के point of view से भी बहुत detail में planning को देखा. Now, again, we have to see what it is and how it will go onward. Okay, now what is planning? This is what we have to discuss when we are talking about overall the concept of planning. What would be before moving onward, when we are talking about planning, we have to know about the concept of goals, types of goals, stated goals, real goals, and types of plans, strategic plans, and operational plans as well. So, first of all, what is planning? Yeah, very briefly, we have to look into the basic concept of planning. It involves the organizational defining of the organizational goals. Same thing, almost defining the organizational goal, establishing the strategies for achieving those goals, and developing the plans to integrate and coordinate working activities. So that is about the basic definition of planning. It is concerned with both hands what and means how, and why, when, and where. So these are the 5 questions that will be asked for planning. That means what we have to do, what's the basic purpose, how we have to do, what are the means, कैसे काम करेंगे. And other than that, when we are talking about what we can say, that can be about how we can and why we are doing all these things. हम क्यों कर रहे हैं? What's the reason? And another very important thing is when we are going to, what will be the timing when we have to go for it. जब भी हम कुछ प्लान करते हैं and where we have to implement, कहाँ पे हम इसको implement करेंगे. So that is about what we can say. That is about the overall concept of planning, and these are the 5 questions that will be asked in planning. So whenever we are talking about planning, so ये आपके 5 questions बहुत जरूरी होते हैं. Now, what are the 4 reasons when a manager has to plan or when a manager go for planning? Now, what are the 4 reasons? First one is provide the direction. So for direction purpose, definitely a manager has to plan everything when he has to give the direction to the overall organization or department or the individuals or the employees of the organization. So first he has to plan, and then department individual might work at cross purposes and prevent the organization from efficiently achieving its goals. So for that reason, they have to plan properly. Then reduce the uncertainty. If you plan everything in a proper way, it will reduce the uncertainty by forcing the manager to look ahead and anticipate the changes and consider the impact of change and develop the appropriate response. So we are not able to eliminate the uncertainty, but we can make the things in a very effective and efficient way. So for that reason, we can reduce the uncertainty through good planning and optimized planning. Now, next one is about minimize the waste and redundancy. That means through proper planning, we can coordinate our activities in a proper way, and we can overcome the inefficiency, and we can make the things in an efficient way and correct and eliminate the, you can say, what we can say, wastage and redundancies and all that. So that can be possible again through good planning. Finally, planning establish the goal or standards used in controlling. So at the end of the day, then you have to, what you have to do, you have to establish the goals, controls, or standards used in the controlling. That means you have to make the set of standards on the basis of which you have to measure the performance as well. So that is the major thing from that is linked with controlling. So for that reason, again, you have to plan properly. Now, next one is planning and performance. When we are talking about planning and performance, formal planning is associated with positive financial results. That means when we are talking about financial result, that means higher profit, higher revenue, higher return on assets, and so forth. That is the basic purpose. So it's again linked with your performance. When your performance is good, you can get good output as well. Now, what will be the goals and objectives? Goals and objectives are desired outcome, are targets. So whenever we are talking about goals and objectives, that is about desired outcome and targets. They guide management decisions and they form the criteria against which work Results are measured. So that's why they are often described as the essential element of the planning. So you have to plan, you have to know the desired target or outcome before you can establish the plans for reaching it. So whenever we are talking about plans, before moving toward the plans, first we have to know what will be the goal, what will be the output, what will be the outcome that we want to. That means हमें क्या output चाहिए, क्या outcome चाहिए. So if we are clear about that outcome, then definitely we can make the plans to achieve those goals, and we have to go onward in that way. So that means we can make the roadmap to achieve our objectives and goals. So for that reason, we have to, first of all, we have to know about our objectives. So objectives are the, again, basic purpose, goals, mission, and all that. So goals that can be about stated goals and real goals. There are two types of goals that can be stated and that can be real goals. When we are talking about stated goals, an organization stated goals are official statement of what an organization says and what it wants its stakeholders to believe its goals are. Stated goals can be found in the organization charter, annual report, public relation announcements are in public statement made by manager. Stated goals होते हैं जो जनरली आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की ऑफिशियल स्टेटमेंट में या ऑफिशियली जब आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनती है तो डिफरेंट सेट ऑफ गोल्स जो आपने बनाए होते हैं जो फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म आपके चलते हैं थ्रू आउट द टाइम पीरियड जस्ट लाइक आई हैव गिवन द एग्जांपल जस्ट लाइक इफ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट आवर इंस्टीट्यूट तो आर if we are talking about our institute, तो हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट के अंदर कौन कौन से हम सब्जेक्ट में व्हाट वी कैन से डिग्री करवा रहे हैं. सो स्पेसिफिकली इट्स अबाउट बैचलर इन कंप्यूटर साइंसेज दैट कैन बी. पहले हमारी BScs BSIT होती थी, अब इट्स स्पेसिफिकली अबाउट SC AI and CG. So it's and already it was about NCS and MS, but right now these are the things. So that is about stated goal, that what we have to do. That means already decided this is what we have to do. So most of the time organizational charter, annual report, public relation announcements और public statements वगैरह या magazines या आपके जो journals वगैरह होते हैं आपकी कंपनी के उसमें ये decided होते हैं और written होते हैं. So everyone know about these are the organization's chartered are basic goals of the organization. When we are talking about real goals, okay, we have to do BCS or we have to go for BCS, BSIT, MCS, whatever the goal or objective of that organization. But real time उन goals को कैसे manage किया जाए, जिसको हम कह रहे हैं real time में आपके जितने भी different tasks होंगे to achieve to meet those, you can say, stated goals. So real goals are the goals an organization actually pursue. Observe what organizational members are doing. Actions define the priorities. So then you have to observe, what people has to do to achieve your stated goals. For that reason, again, you have to make the certain set of goals to achieve your main stated goals. So that is about real goals. Just like if we are talking about this example is exactly like linked with the same one जो हमने stated goal में कहा है. अब stated goal में overall we can go for BCS, BSIT या CG and AI and all that. But when we are talking about universities may say their goal is limiting class sizes, right? So what we have to do when again another goal, and sometimes you can say it's the goal of HEC also, that we have to limit our class size up to 50 students. So accordingly, then just to facilitate the student faculty relationship and actively involving students in the learning process. But then they put students into 300 plus student lectures classes. So knowing that real and stated goals may differ in importance for recognizing what you might otherwise think are inconsistencies. So accordingly, then you have to manage like 50-50 or 40-40 students कैसे manage करेंगे, उसमें कितने आपके set of lectures होंगे और कितनी classes होंगी and all that. So this is what we have to manage, and that is about real goals. So जो आपके real goals होते हैं students, अगर simple अल्फाज में कहें तो वो आपके रियल टाइम में जो मेजर आपके स्टेटेड गोल्स हैं उनको व्हाट वी कैन से मीट करने के लिए या उन तक पहुंचने के लिए आपने जो रियल टाइम आपके डिफरेंट यू कैन से यूनिट बेस्ड हो सकते हैं, डिपार्टमेंट बेस्ड हो सकते हैं, गोल्स और ऑब्जेक्टिव इंडिविजुअल लेवल हो सकते हैं, उनको कैसे अचीव करना है. सो दैट इज अबाउट रियल गोल्स. सो एट द सेम टाइम यू हैव टू प्लान अबाउट द स्टेटेड एंड रियल गोल्स एज वेल. Okay, now when we are talking about plans, plans are the document that outline how goals are going to be met. They usually include resource allocation, scheduling, and other necessary action. So a manager plan, they develop both goals and plans as well. So when we are talking about types of plans, we have breadth, time frame, and what we can say specifically about specificity and the frequency of use. So these are the major things that we have to know when we are talking about plans. Right now, when we are talking about breadth, time frame, specificity, and frequency of use. Now, what is strategic plan? सबसे पहले breadth is again linked with the scope of management, right? So scope का आपको already मैं बता चुकी हूँ. It's about the limits, it's about the boundaries of management. कि आपने क्या क्या काम करना है. So strategic जो है big picture representation है. Operational जो है वो that is about middle and lower level management plans. So time frame की बात करें तो long term it's about 2 or 3 years more than 10, 20, 50 years. That is about long term. We are talking about vision, and short term, it's about for few months till 2 to 3 years. That is about short term plan. Specificity की जब हम बात करते हैं, it's about directional and specific. That means your plans has to be directional, proper direction दी जाए, or specific to the point you want to go for something. Frequency of use, right? That means overall आप कितनी दफा उनको यूज करते हैं या किस तरह आप यूटिलाइजेशन करेंगे उसकी. सिंगल यूज भी हो सकते हैं, स्टैंडिंग भी हो सकते हैं. सिंगल यूज होते हैं जो एक दफा बना के आप एक दफा यूज करते हैं. स्टैंडिंग होते हैं जो जनरल आपने प्लान बना दिए एंड आफ्टरवर्ड्स यू कैन यूज इट फॉर लॉन्गर टाइम. So that is about what we can say general types of plan class. So next one is about strategic plans. What it is basically strategic planning process है जो हम 6th week में discuss करेंगे. So this is for this session or for this video. The remaining जो है वो next video में हम discuss करते हैं. Thank you so much class.